The manifest says 14. You count the deck again. 15 heads every time, no matter how slow you walk it. You have crewed this crossing 900 times. The number has never been wrong before tonight. You are the relief skipper of the MV Carrick Wren, 11 nautical miles of black water between Akilty Pier and Ormsay Island. The night run departs 23:10, lands 23:48, 38 minutes if the tide behaves, 2 cars, a freight pallet, 14-foot passengers, who all wanted the late boat. You know this route the way you know your own pulse. You could steer it with the wheelhouse lights off. Some nights you nearly do. It is a quiet job. That is why you took it. No one talks on the late crossing. They sit in the saloon under the yellow strip lights and watch their phones lose signal at the 4-mile mark. Same as always. The heater ticks. The hull thrums. The mainland shrinks behind you into a smear of orange. But tonight, something is different. You do the head count again at the 7-minute mark, because that is the rule, and the number is still 15. You walk the saloon slowly. You touch the back of each seat as you pass it, the way your old skipper taught you, so you don't lose your place. 14 passengers. You counted them up the ramp yourself. You scanned 14 tickets. Probably you double-counted someone on the move. Probably the man in the gray coat got up and you logged him twice. You go back to the wheelhouse and tell yourself that. The radar sweep is clean. Channel 16 is quiet. 11 miles of open water and nothing on it but you. At the 4-mile mark, the phones should die. You glance back through the door glass. Every screen in the saloon is dark already. All 15 of them. You are only at mile 2. You key the VHF. Ormsay Harbor. Ormsay Harbor. This is Carrick Wren on the 2310. Do you copy? Nothing. You try channel 12. Nothing. The harbor answers the night boat every single night. You have never once had silence on 12. You glance at the life buoy lashed to the wheelhouse rail. The name stenciled across it should read Carrick Wren. For 1 second, the paint reads Saltire Maid, old and flaking. Then it reads Carrick Wren again. You decide not to look at it a third time. You tell yourself it's the weather. There is no weather. The water is flat as a table, and the fog sits 100 yards off the bow in a wall that does not move and does not thin. You look at the clock. 23:31. You should be more than halfway. You look at the GPS. You are at mile 2. The boat is making 9 knots. You can feel it in your feet. But the little triangle on the chart has not moved in 6 minutes. A woman in the front row lifts her head as you pass the saloon door. She asks what time you'll land. You tell her 23:48, same as the schedule, same as always. She smiles and says that is exactly what the last skipper told her 10 years ago. Then she turns back to her dark phone, and you decide you did not hear that, because the other option is worse. You go back down to count again, and this time you stop at the 3rd row, because you know the man in the gray coat. You crewed with him. His name is Eddie McRae, and he went down with the Saltire Maid on this route 10 years ago, and he is sitting in the 3rd row with seawater running off the hem of his coat onto the floor, and he is looking at you. You back out of the saloon. You do not run. Skippers do not run on their own boat. It is the first thing they teach you. You climb to the wheelhouse, and you grip the wheel, and you breathe, and the only sound now is your own breathing, and it is far too fast. The Saltire Maid. You make yourself say the date in your head. She was lost on the night crossing, the 2310, 10 years ago this week. 14 aboard. They never found her. They never found anyone. Before her, it was the Bray Lass, the decade before that. Before her, a boat whose name nobody on the pier will say out loud. One boat, every 10 years, on this route. The old hands call it the tithe, and then they laugh, because if you don't laugh, you don't take the late shift, and someone has to take the late shift. You check the clock. 23:39. The triangle on the chart still has not moved. Ormsay's light should be dead ahead by now, the slow white flash every 6 seconds. You stare into the fog where the light should be. Nothing flashes. Below the chart table, the bilge alarm starts. One long tone, then cuts out halfway through, as if something reaches up and presses it quiet. You check the panel. Every gauge reads normal. Every needle sits exactly where it sat when you cast off. None of them moving, the fuel still full, the depth still reading the harbor's 6 meters though you are 11 miles out. You ring the harbor again. This time the speaker crackles, and under the crackle there is a voice, and the voice is reading a manifest. It reads 14 names. The last name it reads is yours. You stop counting passengers. You start counting the life jackets in the wheelhouse locker, because that is something to do with your hands. There are 15. There should be 12. There have always been 12. The heater stops ticking. The hull stops thrumming. The engine note drops away under your feet and the Carrick Wren glides on through flat black water with no engine and no wake, and it is silent. It is so silent. And somewhere below you, a hatch you did not open swings on its hinge and taps the bulkhead, once, twice. You haul the engine telegraph to full astern. The Carrick Wren does not slow. You spin the wheel hard to port. The bow does not answer. The boat is steering itself now, dead straight, and your hands on the wheel are only resting there, a passenger like all the rest. 23:46. You go down to the car deck. The water is already over the third rung of the access ladder, and it is rising without a sound. No rush, no slap, just a black surface climbing the steel, and it is warm. You can feel the warmth of it through your boot, which is the most wrong thing of all. The 15 passengers are standing on the car deck now. They are not afraid. They are facing you, and the man in the gray coat, Eddie, lifts one hand and points past your shoulder, up at the wheelhouse, at the empty wheel. You count them without meaning to. Old habit. 15. The 15th is you. You have been the 15th on every crossing tonight. You simply never let yourself land on your own number. You understand it then, all at once, the way you understand a wave that is already on top of you. The boat does not get lost. The boat gets taken, and it takes its 14, and it always needs a 15th to bring it back in 10 years' time and stand on this deck and count. 23:47. The exact minute. The water touches the saloon floor. You climb back up to the wheelhouse one last time. You do not know why. The wheel turns under your hands on its own. Ahead in the fog, a light begins to flash, slow and white, every 6 seconds, and it is not Ormsay. It is the stern light of another ferry, riding low, waiting, and you steer toward it because there is nothing else left to do. On a kilty pier, the relief skipper of the MV Carrick Wren steps aboard for the 2310. 2 cars, a freight pallet, 14-foot passengers who all wanted the late boat. The manifest says 14. He counts the deck. 15 heads. Every time, no matter how slow he walks it. He has crewed this crossing 900 times. The number has never been wrong before tonight.